What's up, Tendies? Got Coach Spidey over here with us today. We got Carson in the background. We're going to be doing some goalie yoga in a little bit. We got a short little Tendy talk coming at you live today from Goalrobber. Saw Tristan was tuned in, and we got some other goalies out there, so welcome to the stream. I'm going to sauce it over to Coach Spidey. He's going to come in and have our Tendy talk for the day.
Hey, what's up, Tendies? This is Coach Spidey. I just wanted a quick talk with you about some mindset things that I've been actually researching as a part of my PhD comprehensive exams. And so I've got like 50 plus articles that all relate to motivation and the mental aspect of different sports. Some of them goaltending, but some of them are other sports. And I'm going to share some findings from a study that was done on a different sport today. Now, before I do that, it's important to note that there's something called transfer of learning in sports psychology and anything in general. This idea is like, if you, let's say for an example, play guitar, you're a musician. Some of the skills that you use as a musician could actually carry over into goaltending. Or let's say that you love to draw, or you're good in mathematics, or you like to Rubik's Cube, or a number of different things. The theory of transfer of learning says that as long as those are difficult tasks that you're having to use complex cognitive or physical abilities with, there's probably going to be a transition that's helpful to goaltending. And so the context I want to use today is actually table tennis. Now that makes sense because here at Goalrobber we actually have a couple of table tennis or ping pong tables, and we'll bust those up from time to time. I know Coach Butsy and myself are both table tennis enthusiasts, and if you're a local goalie, you probably know that I've really gotten into table tennis in one of our local clubs. I can give a shout out to the Bismarck Table Tennis Club today too. They meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the World War Memorial Building. And anyway, if you've ever played table tennis, you know that it's a really challenging sport and a really challenging skill. And it may not be all that big in the United States, but ping pong is huge, especially in Asian countries and European countries, and all over the world, really. And so there's a particular study in 2018 by Martin et al. That means and other people. I'm not going to list all the co-authors, but Martin in 2018 he wrote an article called "The Prognostic Relevance of Physiological or Psychological Factors with Regard to Participation and Success in Table Tennis." So that might sound overly complex, but there it is. It's up on the screen now. But what happened is that Martin and his colleagues, they studied the psychological factors that might impact table tennis players who are at the regional, the national, and the international level. Okay, so let's let that sink in for just a moment. These are table tennis players who are playing regionally, right? So that might be like the Northwest region of the United States, right? That would be regionally. Or they're representing their region nationally, so it'd be like you going to a national tournament or hockey or something. Or they're playing international, which is pretty crazy. So they're at a pretty high level. And they analyzed these goaltenders at time one. So let's say the goaltenders, whatever age they are at time one, the table tennis players at time one, and they measured different psychological factors, right? I'll list a few of those in a moment. I'll put it up on the screen too. But a few factors like their motivations type, coping mechanisms, and if they were experiencing burnout or devaluation of their sports experience. And what they found is that, and I'll have the table put up on the screen so you guys can see it as well, but there were three salient factors. That means three important factors that came to the surface. And those factors in particular, I just want to make sure I get this right, those factors were that amotivation, meaning if a table tennis player was amotivated, they were not feeling motivated, their disengaged orient coping, meaning that they weren't coping with failure or coping with challenges in their sports how they should be. And the third was the sport devaluation and reduced accomplishment. They could predict, those factors could predict whether or not A, the table tennis player was still playing table tennis 6 years later. at a competitive level, right? Which means that they're continuing to play a sport that they love 6 years later. Secondly, it predicted how successful that table tennis player was. So what does all that mean? Again, at time one, the researchers, they measured all these psychological factors of goaltenders, and then with those factors, they could actually predict whether the table tennis players would be continuing to play table tennis 6 years later, and how successful those table tennis players would be. So, here's the real key. I'm going to get close for this one. The real key to this finding is that psychological factors of table tennis for that study, but psychological factors for goaltending likely can predict your future success. Now, isn't that crazy? Like, it's not all about just physiologically, not all about just how quick we are, how strong we are, and what genetics we were maybe born with or given, how hot, how tall we are, those types of things. But that physiological, that the mental side of sports can predict not only how long you're going to probably stick with the sport, right? How long you're going to enjoy goaltending, but how successful you're going to be at goaltending. And so I just want to encourage you guys to continue to treat your mind and your brain like a muscle, right? Take pride in these different elements of the psychological part of goaltending. Specifically, and this is where my research falls, is in motivation. Make sure that you're motivated, not only that you have lots of motivation, but that you have the right type of motivation. And that would be intrinsic motivation. There's others that are fancier terms like identified and introjected and controlled and these types of things. But number one, that you want to be feeling motivated for the right reasons. That's going to keep you fresh. It's going to mitigate or minimize burnout, a feeling of, man, I just don't know why I'm doing this. I'm feeling burned out. And also, be mindful of how you're coping with challenges that come your way, right? Are you coping with them in a positive way, which would be acknowledging that you're feeling challenged or frustrated, talking with coaches and people that you trust and addressing those issues, or are you trying to ignore them and run from them or cope with them in unhealthy ways, right? So again, motivation. How well are we being motivated? Are we highly motivated, and are we motivated for the right reasons? Are we making sure that we're coping with challenges correctly, and we're trying to mitigate burnout and devaluation of the sport? And so, my task for you, while Coach Butts leads restoration and yoga today, I want you to reflect on this question. Where are you going to be as a goaltender 6 years from now? Okay? How do you envision yourself as a goalie specifically in 6 years from now? Now, one of those options, I hope this is true for you, is that in 6 years from now, you're going to be at a much higher level than you were before. If, let's say, you're at the Pee Wee or Bantam level, maybe your goal is to be playing juniors or college or beyond, right, at that elite level. If that's you, I want you to think about how am I going to have to prepare? What does myself look like mentally or psychologically that would enable me to get there? Right? What are some of the challenges I might face, and how am I going to productively or effectively address those challenges? That's one option, and I hope that's the option for most of our attendees, is that in 6 years from now, you see yourself enjoying hockey, goaltending still, and being successful at goaltending. Another option is, if we don't take care of ourselves mentally, physically, and do the hard work that it takes to be successful, is that we may no longer be playing hockey or goaltending, which I'm not saying is such a bad thing. Maybe that for you, hockey or goaltending was just something you were doing that's more social, or you knew it would just be temporary. But for those of you who have aspirations to go to the next level, I'm hoping that you didn't have this goal that you got burnt out and dropped out. Right? You dropped out from hockey or goaltending because you weren't having the success you would like, or because of some of the challenges, you psychologically just weren't where you needed to be to continue to have success and enjoy the position. So I want you to reflect during yoga today on where do you see yourself, visualize yourself in 6 years from now, and what healthy psychological aspects of your game did you really embrace, did you really have to press into in order to get yourself to that place? Okay? Were you intrinsically motivated, that you just really loved the sport of goaltending? Did you intrinsically enjoy all the efforts that it took to get there. The workouts, daily or weekly, the on-ice sessions, the mindset, eating well, taking care of yourself, taking care of your schoolwork. What things did you do along the way to get you to be mentally and psychologically strong and prepared to be where you'd like to be 6 years from now? Okay, so that's the focus for, in addition to what Coach Butts is going to share with us. In addition to that, I want you to visualize those things, okay? Because when we visualize things, they become a neural pathway in our brain. They actually become a physical thing, and they're more likely to manifest in our life. So, if you would like to have me share that article, or I have lots of articles on this, but on those table tennis players, so you can dive into that further, I'd be glad to share that with you. Otherwise, enjoy the restoration, the yoga, and continue to become stronger and better, both physically and mentally as well. So have a great weekend, and let's get our yoga on.
Nice. All right, Tendies, we're going to take a quick transformation break, get everything all set up for yoga, and we're going to be hopping on with you guys in a second.
Take my hand and we'll go away to a different place, float on air and we'll hide away.
All right, Tendies, we should be good to go. You should be able to hear our voices over the top of the music. We should have the music in the background, so if we have any issues, let me know in the chat. I got chat pulled up on my phone. We're going to get started today with an exercise that's new. I've actually really loved to enjoy. We have a PVC pipe, yay long, like arm's width. But if you guys don't have it at home, it's going to be fine. I'll give you the correction. We're going to start with one leg up in front, on one knee, and we're going to have, if we have our PVC or the facility here, we're going to have this straight out in front of us, and we're going to go behind our back. If you guys at home don't have this, we're just going to simply cross your shoulders, and we're going to rotate very slowly one way. Might feel your back crack a little bit. Hold it, and then we're going to slowly come back to center. Now remember, for breathing, guys, we're going to focus on breathing with our movement. So big inhale, rotate other direction. Long inhale through the nose. And when you're exhaling, come back. Nice slow exhale through the nose, back to center. So let's keep going on these. Let's do 2 more to each side. I'm going to grab this PVC. See how it feels with this. Pulling on your shoulders to get that extra rotation. Exhale, coming back. Every time you go around, you'll probably find something a little bit further to fixate your eyes on. And we're going to come back. So remember what you just grabbed with your eyes. We're going to go one step further on this last rotation. Ground your legs, everything's tight. Slowly control yourself all the way back. Excellent. All right, so if you're at home without a little piece of PVC, it's totally fine. You can put your hands on the ground. Here at the facility, we're going to have our PVC planted on the ground right next to us. You can stab it right on the mat. And we're going to use it as leverage to lean forward. So right now we're on one leg. We're gonna have to do this with our other leg. We're gonna go as far forward as we can while keeping our foot flat on the ground. We don't want to go up on our toe. Keep our foot as flat on the ground as we can. Work on that ankle mobility. Again, if you're at home, you're just gonna simply use your hands for that leverage, leaning forwards. Get a good ankle stretch. Then let's move our knee in just a little bit of a circle. If we can, just a tiny circle with your knee. You come out of the stretch, go back into the stretch. And switch directions. Good. Hold it again just one more time. Your ankle's probably getting a little bit fatigued now. That's what we want. Especially if you have something that you can hold yourself up for control. We want your knee to be straight. This is the only time when your knee would go over the top of your toe. Working on our ankle mobility. Pressing back up to top and control switch our legs up. We're going to go back, arms crossed or hands behind. You can lock your hands behind your head if you want as well. So that can work really well. Rotating. While you inhale, find something with your eyes to grab onto. Exhale and come back. Focus on that front leg. Make sure your knee stays straight. It doesn't cave in as you're going across. Plant your leg and nothing moves from your torso down. Shoulders, hands, heads all engaged going towards the twist. Legs are staying still. We're working number 2. As we go into our last one here, this not only is working your back and getting a nice stretch to your back, it's also helping you guys as we're structuring ourselves with our final twist here. You'll notice that your groin's probably getting a little bit of action with this. Your hips are definitely feeling it as you're twisting. You have to stay stable to your hips. These are all the muscles you guys use in the RVH and the VH that are just very hard to exercise on a daily basis. Now, so we get a little bit of a trigger there just by doing that exercise. We're going to go into our ankle mobility on this side. Slowly going into your max while keeping your heel on the ground. And if you're at home, you can support yourself on the ground. Just do not support yourself on this lead knee because then you might push your knee a little bit further than it has to go. So, good support here. Or if you have like a bench or something to put your hands on, or the wall, it can be up against the wall. We'll do some really small circles. The circles should be fluid. If they're really choppy, you're noticing really big shifts in your knee, it's probably a note for a stability issue with your hips and your back. So we got to work on that. Go the other way with some circles. One final stretch all the way in as far as you can. Just hold a nice place here with your ankle. You might be feeling it in your quad as well, in your leg. You might be feeling it in this far hip. Wherever you're tight, that's where you're going to be feeling it from working out this week. Come back up. Nice and easy. And we're going to go into our frog positioning. So if I go sideways here, Remember, our frog is where we have our hips are going to be sank back just a little bit. Our back is arched. If we went into cat-cow, we got our cat where we have our back pretty much as far up as we can, and then cows where we dip our back in. Nice arch in your back, healthy back. What I don't want is I don't want your hips forward. I want you to have your butt back in this position here. You're going to feel it nice and tight in your hips already, but then we're going to go down with our face. Have a nice little relaxation time here. If you can't quite get to your face, you guys can go to your forearms. That's perfectly fine. That's normal. But again, these are the hip mobility, the different hip actions that we do when we don't even know it when we're in the butterfly, when we're trying to move out of our butterfly. We'll go one more breath here. And inhale, coming up on your next inhale, up to our all fours, where we're at. We're going to take one hand, and we're going to lock it behind our head. So I'm going to go sideways again for this. You guys can see my hand's coming up, and it's locking behind my head, elbow out. We're going to dip our elbow down to the ground while maintaining our hip positioning. Don't change your hip positioning. Then we're going to stretch up as far as we can. Exhale. Exhale up. Inhale back down. Nice, slow, controlled breaths all the way through. Last one on this side. Get a deep breath and exhale slowly. Alright, we're going to do this the opposite way. We went over our head. Now we're going to fold our arm back to our lower back. So our elbow is still sticking out, but my arm went the opposite direction to my back. Same movement pattern. You're probably not going to get as much mobility here, so don't stress about that. We're going down with our elbow. Exhale up. Rotate. Press in with your opposite hand and look up at the ceiling. And then you're inhaling, coming back down. Make sure you guys maintain those healthy hips. One thing that a lot of people like to do right away is they like to push their hips forward and extend their back too much. Once your back stops with your hips where they are, that's where you end. And you just continue that pattern. Last one, get a full extension. And recover. Nice. We're going to do that same thing on the other side. So our arms going out and over our head. Everything stays neutral and we're going down. Inhale. Exhaling up. Looking over to the ceiling. One more on this side. Finish it out strong. Take a deep breath, get a couple breaths in, relax. And when you're ready, we're going to shift into our hand, opposite direction behind your back. When we inhale, we're going down with our shoulder. Keep your other arm straight into the ground. You're looking to your opposite side. And then exhale, rotate up to the ceiling. Pull your elbow up with you. One deep breath for this last one. And when you're ready, you recover. We're going to move on to child's pose. So feet together, knees out wide. My feet are together, my knees are out wide. I'm going to sit back on my heels. And then we're going to go down with our shoulders, and our arms are going out forward as far as we can. We go about 5 to 10 breaths here, depending upon how fast you breathe. Nice controlled breaths. And we'll move on to our next exercise. One more deep breath. And slowly curl your hands back up, hips up, and we're going to go into a wider stance. We're going to go into a wider stance. Probably be outside your mat if you have a mat, like a very wide butterfly. We're going to go down into the same pattern. So it's going to be wide butterfly. You guys start to feel it in your groin. And then we're going here, this one's important. We go very slow back to center. We'll come back to our all fours position. We're going to cross our legs over and sit straight back, which should get you up around your butt. And I'll position myself again to be facing everybody. All right. Next one that we're going to do is we're going to be on our side. So we're straight on our side. You can use your arm as a pillow. We're going to bend our legs to 90 degrees. Our top leg's going to go up. We're going to control it straight down. This one here is just called a clam. Exhale up. And inhale back to recover. We'll do about 5 of these on each side. You notice you'll probably get a little bit further each time. Last one, big breath. And then we're going to do what's called a hip car. So simply what we're going to do is we lift up this top leg. We're going to do a very large circle. Starting by going back, up, forwards, and around back to center. By doing this nice, smooth circle with our legs is crucial for our hips. We're getting almost every single active muscle that we need for goaltending. So again, we're going back, up, and around very slowly. In a couple rounds of these at your pace. And a couple the other way. So forwards first, when you're ready, all the way around to the back. All right, boys, that's awesome. Proud of you for those. Those are tough. Super good on your hips, though. We're going to roll over to our back. We're just going to kind of let it all loosen up a little bit for a second. Wiggle your toes around. Open up your palms. We're going to get that other hip in a second. We're going to do some body logs in between. One of my favorites now, these body logs. So we're going to put our arms above our head. We're going to tense up for just a second while we lift everything off the ground. Let it back down, roll over to our stomach. We're going to tense up, everything off the ground. Superman, down and roll. Back up. And now we're going to go over while keeping this tense. Rolling over, Bend legs to 90. Use your arm as a pillow. We're going to open up those 5 clams. Exhale going up. Inhale coming back down nice and smooth. On in all of our stretching. Make sure we get that one as much as we possibly can. For me, it's this right side. A little bit more locked up than the other side. That's okay. My weaknesses all the time. That's what we gotta focus on and get stronger. Alright, we got 5 of those. If you haven't, continue on. That's all good. We're gonna do 3 circles each way at your own pace, nice and smooth, going back first. Make sure you get the other side in as well, going forwards first. Big inhale up to the top, and then you can exhale, follow through. Excellent. Let's roll back to our back. Wiggle everything out a little bit. Get those toes, hands can shake out before we go overhead. We're going to be rolling to our opposite direction now. We're going to tense up. And as you relax down, we're going to roll over. Simple at the beginning. Tense up. That's Superman. Roll over. When you roll over, just let your body kind of spill out on the other side. Tense up. Pull both all the way over. Up. And over. One more time, over and back. Excellent. Let's go into a supported fish. Legs being planted on the ground. Knees coming together. A little bit of rest. forward sit. And you can kind of walk it out, switch legs. And we're gonna sit right up. Back to where we are. We're gonna go into our last movement, and we're gonna have an active rest. This one's the bretzel. So another favorite stretch that I have from back when I was in juniors. We do this one a lot here at the facility. We got our leg over front, like if we're in pigeon, but we're fully seated, sitting down here, and then our other leg is behind us. Is also at a 90-degree angle. Some people call this the 90-90, but what we're going to do is going to be a version of the bretzel. So first off, we're going to go down on our forearms, straight in front of our front leg here. If you can't get to your forearms, that's fine. Just go as far down, maybe one forearm, or lower on your hands, forearms on your legs. As far down as you feel comfortable, 2 forearms. Stop at forearms right here. We're going to do this one multiple directions. So the first direction we're going to go is actually going to go towards our knee. What we're going to do is we're going to lay to the side, down towards the knee. You can go into it a couple times nice and slowly until you get as far down as you can get on your side, where your leg would actually be in front of your chest. And it's almost like you're diving into the water here. Our arms are coming straight over. You want to pull this top arm with you. So you're opening up your chest as far as you can, but you're also stretching over onto this hip. And then we're going to release our top arm and eventually grab our back leg and pull it in with us, completing the bretzel. And for this one here, we're going to release our leg on the back side first. Bring our arm back to the top for support. And then we're going to slowly start pushing back up onto our forearms and then up onto our hands. And as we go into this on the opposite side, we're going to go towards our toe. So we're just going to simply crawl our hands over and start going down towards our toe. Now you might not get very far on this one. You might go all the way down to the point where you can touch your nose to your toe. That's great. This one here is switching out complete opposite muscles. So we're just going to reach as far as we can across. Once you get established, you can take that far hand and you can reach it up and over to your back leg. And again, give that extra pull for support. Or you can simply go up and shift your chest and do like a full movement up at the ceiling. Get that full hip stretch. Then we come down again, hands together, and walk it back. This one's super tight on your hips, so we're going to loosen them all up at the very end here. Let's go back to forearms, right in the middle. You can go one time down as far as you can, straight down to the middle of your shin. See how far you can get. Maybe you can touch your nose to your shin. And then we'll crawl our hands back up nice and smoothly to a seated, really tall position. And the last thing that we're going to do in the bretzel here, we're seated tall. You should feel it on both hips now. You should feel it kind of on your glutes, on the leg that's back, and on your interior hip on the leg that's up. We're going to rotate towards. So if our right leg's in front, we're going to rotate to the right. If your left leg is in front, you're going to rotate to the left. You're rotating towards your front leg and twisting your torso around to get an extra stretch on both hips. Inhale, smooth. Exhale, out. Inhaling back to center. Go. And if you really got this one down, this 90-90, you'll be able to just do like a windshield wiper across to the other side. With your hands off the ground, you can support your hands behind you if you have to. Now we got 90-90 on this side. We're going to go through the same pattern, and then we're just going to rest and call it a day until next week. So first thing we're going is straight over top of our shin, onto our forearms, or as far as you can comfortably sit in this half bretzel or this 90-90 stretch. Kind of warming up the hip here at the beginning. It's going to be a lot tighter than the other side after we finish. We can start leaning over to the left, or if you're on your right side, you're going to be leaning over to the right. Get your shoulder to the ground, your knee in front of your chest. Once you get in that spot, you can bring your other hand over into diving for that extra support and open up your chest to the wall in front of you. If you get to this full bretzel, you actually be able to touch your nose to your knee. We can take that top hand up. You can stay here in a nice C-spine formation, or you can come down, hand to your ankle on the opposite leg, and pull heel to butt. You get a nice stretch on this opposite leg at the same time on your quads. Can't forget about the quads. Let that backside go, coming back up. And forwards. Lifting yourself back up to forearms. We're going to walk out to our toe. And we're going forward as far as you can comfortably sit. If it's your forearms, then great. Some of you might be able to go all the way out forward where your nose is touching your toe. That's awesome. This is a tight side for me, so I'm going to stay at my forearms. Walk it back up. We're going to go over our shin one more time to our forearms or beyond. If you guys feel like you can make it a little bit further, and attempt to touch your nose to your shin here. Going back up, sitting real tall. This time here we're on our left leg, so we're going to be rotating to our left at the facility here. Rotating to the outside. A big exhale. Inhale, recenter. Make sure your chest is nice and tall. You got a healthy spine. And exhale, round. actually the back of your head though, did you? So you're rotating around and your back's healthy, you can actually rotate. Should be able to rotate almost 180 degrees around while keeping your hips square. And we're going to be working on a lot more of this stuff as we go through continuing yogas. So we got legs crossed, going forward onto our stomach. We're going to finish off with what we call crocodile breathing. So we're going to have our arms folded and our foreheads going right down to our hands. You can close your eyes and find that place where you relax. But I'm going to come up here to explain this to you guys, and then we'll show you with our two that we have here at the facility. So basically what we're looking at doing here is, as you guys are inhaling and exhaling very slowly, I want you to focus on feeling your chest, your stomach rise off the ground and sink into the ground, back and forth. And the big thing here to focus on is every time that you exhale, to completely and fully exhale every single ounce of air out of your body so that your back can sink down, and eventually from doing this, first you sink into a really deep relaxation, but from doing this you'll actually naturally take out a lot of back pain that you might have, or incorrections, kinks, and things in your back will just naturally realign. So we're going to focus on this one for a minute. Don't think about anything else in your body, just your breathing, and focus on what Coach Spidey talked about at the beginning with our mindset. There's one thing you can think about here would be, where do you see yourself 6 years more down the road with hockey and everything else in life in general? Putting little weights on our goaltender's back so that kind of pulls down your spine just a little bit more when you exhale all the way into the ground, sinks into that deep relaxation. Yeah, guys, for the sake of our live video, that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna let everyone here just kind of sit for a little bit longer and encourage you guys at home to do the same. Hope you had a nice active recovery, little restoration with us. Tune in every Friday. We're gonna be working on this. And take care over the weekend. Hope you guys get out and do something fun. But until then, we'll see you for sure. Next Thursday, we'll have live vision out to everyone. And if you're in our live Facebook group and you're still hanging out watching this video, we will definitely see you next week.